I think everybody that does 3D models a watch at some point. And the other day I modeled a very simple watch, and I made a video about it, video tutorial, and provided the reference diagram. And I think for practice, for people that are beginners or relative beginners, I'd like to do another one. Okay, so this is modeling another simple watch. And this is a graphic that I found on the internet, and I'll provide that for you so that if you're into this, you can follow along with me, and we'll do it together. I'm also going to provide this image here, which is just a screenshot of the settings that I'm using for when I bring in the background image that I'm providing. Okay, so we'll come back and have a look at this later. And there's actually one more image of the background image settings because as you'll see, there's no watch face here. And I found another image that we can use and put on that if we decide we want to do some of that stuff as well. All right, so this is the image, so go ahead and download the image and I'll show you how to bring it into Blender. So here I am in Blender 2.79 and I'm going to switch over to Cycles Render, which I just like to use, but it doesn't matter if you use the regular Blender renderer. My screencast keys are on, and this is the default scene, as I said, I think I said. And I'm going to select everything and hit X and delete everything. Okay, so we need to bring those images in, and I want a front view, so I'm going to press 1 on the numpad and 5. All right, this is front ortho view. You can also switch from here to front numpad. All right, and I'm going to hit N, and I'm going to come up here and I'm going to click on background images, add image, and here it says axis, and I'm going to choose front, and then I'm going to open the image. So just find where you stored that image, and I'll see if I can find this as well. All right, you can click here and you can view them. There's the image right there. I'm going to open that. So there is the image. Now my 3D cursor is right here in the middle of the stage, essentially where the X and the Z axis is. And I want that 3D cursor right there in the middle, but I'm not going to move the 3D cursor. I'm going to move the background image. So here's where you can use those diagrams. Okay, here we go. The axis is front, so we're going to set it at 2.50 and 0.8. All right, so we're going to come down here. 2.50, enter, and 0.8 will hopefully do it. And that's pretty close to the center. I'm now going to minimize that, and we've got our front image in. We're going to add in the back image now, so I'm going to add image, and I'm going to set the axis to the back. And the image is already in memory, so I just open it that way. And in order to view the back, that we're still viewing the front, we can come down here, or I can just go Control 1. So 1 is front, Control 1 is back. This is the back right here, and my 3D cursor is here, so we're going to set it so it's right in the middle of the back. So let's look at that. Here's back, negative 3.07 and 0.8. Negative 3.07. Negative 3.07 and 0.8. Okay, that's pretty good. Minimize that. Okay, we have one more. We're going to do a side view. We're going to do the right view. So click there, load the image, and the right view is gotten to by hitting 3 on the number pad. Okay, it says right ortho. All right, I'm going to position it so that 3D cursor is pretty much in the middle right here. So what do we have to do to get there? Right, negative 0.5 and 0.8, negative 0.5, negative 0.5 and 0.8. Okay, that's pretty good. All right, it may not be right in the center of the actual dial, but it's pretty much in the center. And this one doesn't matter quite as much as you'll see. All right, I'm going to minimize that as well. And let's make sure that we save this. Okay, and hit N to close that. And let's hit 1 and go into the front view. And we are ready to start modeling this simple watch. All right, so we're going to start with this front area here. And I'm going to use a circle, Shift A, Mesh, Circle. Here are my values for the circle, but I'm not going to change anything. 32 vertices. is just fine. However, we're looking at the side of the circle. If I hit 7 and I look down, we're actually seeing the circle. So back to 1, we're going to rotate this in the X, RX 90, and now we're seeing the circle. All right, now I can scale this right now. I'm in object mode, or I can go over to edit mode, and then I can scale it, which is what I prefer. And I'm going to scale it out to, I think, this black line here. Let's try that. S and pull. All right, now it may not line up perfectly with the diagram, and that's totally fine. Okay, so we've got that. If we now go to the control one, go to the back view, we'll see that it's lined up nicely there. But if we go to the side view, 3, we'll see that it's roughly in the middle, but I want it to be about right on this line. Here, I'll show you. I'm going to actually move it. So go ahead and move it right to about there. Okay, and so that's where we're going to start our modeling. Okay, so I'm going to hit E to extrude, and then I'm going to push on this arrow right to there, and that's good. And now we're going to make this part. Let's just flip over though to the front view and see if anything has changed. Okay, that was all in line, so it shouldn't have changed. Let's go to 3, let's go E, and let's move it up to here. And I'm going to go into wireframe mode. And by the way, I've got this pie chart thing going here. All right, so it might look different than yours, but you can choose wireframe right down here. Wireframe, let's get out of there. Make sure we're got it selected in wireframe. All right, now we can see through. I'm going to hit S to scale, and I'm going to pull it down like that. And we now have that front curve. Now, if I go to 1, you can see that I've moved in, but it doesn't quite match up with this front line here, but that's fine because we need to do some more work. It's moved up to this line, okay? All right, well, let's leave the front for the moment and go to the back area. So I'm going to hit 3. And it's debatable if we want to do this as one piece or separate pieces. Chances are there'd be separate pieces, but I think for this video, we're just going to do it as one piece. So I'm going to select, I want to select all of this edge all the way around. Let me go back to solid view here. Okay, and by the way, actually, you'll notice that on the inside, my polys are nice and light gray. And on the outside, the part we're going to see, they're a little bit dark here. That's because some of my polys are flipped the wrong way. So what we do is we just select it all and go Control N, or Mesh, Normals, Recalculate Outside. And you'll get the hang of when you need to do that and when you don't. All right, so the way to select this whole edge is to hover your mouse over part of the edge and go hold down Shift and Alt and click. All right, and you can do this in edge selection. By the way, I'm just going Control Tab to bring up the same menu as if you click down here, Vertex, Edge, and Face. All right, so you can be in edge selection if you want. Shift Alt and click on this line right there. Okay, let's go back to 3. So here's what we have. Now, it would be helpful if we go into wireframe so we can see through the diagram. All right, well, we're going to pull it back, and then it's underneath. We're going to pull back to about, we might pull back to this line. E to extrude and left click to accept, and then pull it out, and I'm going to come right to there. All right, if we look at 1, nothing has really changed. If we look at Control 1, the back view, nothing is really visibly changed, only on the side view. All right, and now we're going to do part of the back. I'm going to extrude and scale down so that it comes down as an angle to here. All right, and an easier way to do this is in Vertex, because watch what happens when I scale. In fact, it's probably easier to extrude first, so I'll do that. E to extrude, pull out to there. All right, so in line with this. But of course, we need an angle coming down, so we're just going to hit S and pull down. It's a little hard to see exactly what it does, and it doesn't matter. All right, pull down so you get a nice pleasing angle there, and let's go Control 1 and go to the back. Now, what you're going to notice is this line doesn't seem to, let me go back to that and deselect that, and let's actually hide this for the moment. The line that was there doesn't really correspond to anything on the back itself. I'm going to unhide it, Alt-H, and I want to think about this for a second. I think we need to pull some of this back. All right, I'm thinking that this edge, which one is that? That's the front, that's a front edge. Oh, maybe we just don't have one of those edges in there yet. Let me go back to this yet here. All right, let's look in solid view at the back. All right, and if I go Control 1, I have just Shift Alt and click. I have just that edge, and I have this one which I started to pull in. All right, and I've got a small angle there. Let me see if I need that. Do I need this? Not necessarily, although I start to pull in and my screws. No, I think we may be all right for now. Let's Shift Alt and click this and scale in to here. Okay, that's something that we're going to need to do. I think we may need to take this edge or another edge. Let's have a look at the front view here. All right, that's not going to make any difference. All right, well, we're just going to carry on. Shift Alt and click that and look in the back. Okay, now I know you can't really tell what it does here, and we also can't see from the side what it does. So we have to use our imagination. I think that it's going to dip in a little bit, go flat, and then come out so that this round area is going to stick out just a little bit as if it's sort of a battery compartment, or that's the way I would like to design mine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this a bit, and I'll go back into solid view, but you could be doing that down here from wireframe to solid. And what we're going to do is we're going to make it come down a little bit. So I'm going to hit E to extrude, and I'm going to pull down just a little bit like that, and then I'm going to hit well, let's go back into that view, E to extrude and S to scale, and let's come out to this line. So I've got sort of a lower level here now, and we have hit this line right here, and let's come up now. So let's just move, let's hit E to extrude, and let's come up, and let's come up roughly just a little bit above where we were before so that we get a bit of a bump. So just use your eye and sort of try to determine when it's a little bit higher than this level here. And now we're going to close this off. And the way I suggest we do that is with that whole edge selected, hit E and S and come in just a little bit. E and S, come in a whole bunch more. E and Alt M, and then choose Merge at Center. Deselect. Now let's have a look at that. Now, if you can't see this that well, what we can do is we can hit N and come over under shading and turn on ambient occlusion, and that will give us a little bit of shadows. If you're getting frustrated with this grid here, as I am, come to display and turn off the grid floor and N to close that. All right, that's better. Now, it's looking very sharp. It's not looking, nice and smooth or anything, but that's going to be just fine. Okay, we're going to deal with all that. Let's make the front part. Now, with the front part, I'll go into wireframe again. This stuff is part of the back. It's not going to influence anything. We can't tell much, except there's a similar area right here. All right, let's go in and select our object and to edit mode. I'll select that edge right there. This edge is basically along this black line. In my opinion, it's going to dip in again, go flat, and then come out. And we'll do the watch face right here. So let's make that happen. So go into solid view because I find it a little bit easier. Let's hit E to extrude, pull down a little bit, like, however much you want. And let's go back to the front view in wireframe, E to extrude and scale. And we'll just come out to that line. So now we have a flat region right there. Okay, we came down, we went flat, and now we're going to come up. And again, however much you want to come up, I don't think we should come up too high. Let's try E to extrude, come up. Let's come up less than this height. Let's try that and close it off. We can change this if we need to. E and S, come in just a little bit. E and S, come in a whole bunch more. E and Alt M, merge at center. Deselect, go back to object mode and see what we've got. All right. Now, it's not going to look that good yet, but we're going to put on a subdivision surface now. So let's do that. Let's make it smooth. Come up to the wrench icon, and you can roll your mouse wheel as you hover over this sort of toolbar here until you get the wrench. Click on the wrench, choose Add Modifier, and scroll down to Subdivision Surface and change the view to 2. That will increase the number of polygons there and make it smoother. We can also click on Smoothing over here, Smooth Shading, and this is what we get. So that's starting to look nice, but it looks a little bit like a tire. Doesn't look very mechanical yet. We need some sharper edges. This is not part of the diagram, but what we're going to do is go into edit mode, and we're going to add some edge loops. Now, over time, as you use Blender or any 3D program, you'll get a better feeling for where you need to put edge loops in, but for now, you can just follow me. I am going to click somewhere in this region and go Control R. I don't mean click, I'm just going to go Control R. Then I'm going to left click, and then I'm going to drag up. And I want to bring a new row of vertices or an edge up close to here. Now let's see if that's done anything. See the way it's made that a little bit sharper? It's not sharp enough yet. And so what I'm going to do is go back into edit mode, and I'm going to bring an edge loop in here. Often you'll bring one below a region and above. So I'm going to click there and pull down. And you don't have to bring it right to the end, to there. Let's try that. See how much sharper that is? Now I think we can do even more down here. Let's go back to here, and let's select maybe this edge and pull it up. And let's look. See the way it's even sharper? I'm going to leave it like that for now, and we're going to do some work down here. All right, see the way that these are straight lines here, in the white, but the actual model gets curved like that. So we're going to add an edge loop, Control R, and we're going to pull down to near there. Let's have a look at that. All right, it's getting better, but it's still kind of, cloudy and murky. It's not overall defined that well. So let's go back in. Let's add one more edge loop and bring it down and see what that's done. That's really fixed it up, but we can do a little bit on this side as well. So once again, I'm bringing in edge loops above sort of an edge or a line here or an angle, and I'm bringing one in, click there, and pull it up below. Now look at it. That's starting to look a bit sharper and cleaner, okay? But not too sharp. Now we can do a little bit of work here as well. I don't want to do too much because I like how soft this is, but this area looks kind of cloudy and murky, and again, not well defined. If we bring an edge loop in and push it towards here, it'll push all this sort of gray material in. It'll sharpen this up. So watch this. Click Control R and push it in, and you can already see it moving a bit. Don't go too far. And then come out, see how that sharpened that up? And that may be good enough for our purposes. If we really wanted to get serious about this, we could deselect there. And you see all this white stuff? This is how the polys have been stretched by adding the subdivision surface. If I take it off, you see how they're, like 90 degrees, comes down, goes down, cross. When I have that on, it's kind of like a piece of fabric being pulled. If we click in here and go Control R and click and pull down, we could sharpen that up, and it might improve the looks. If we wanted to, we could put another edge loop. This is starting to get a little bit advanced here, but we could put another edge loop and pull it up, and look, and it's even sharper, and that's fine. I'm not sure I even like that. I'm going to Control Z and change that. I don't really like that one. All right, well, let's leave that aspect for now. Let's have a look, Control 1, at the back and wireframe, and note that there are these bolts. And I just want to get a sense of where they are and if they're on a curve and how difficult it will be to do that. Well, it's just angled like this, so we'll just have to angle our bolts a little bit. So why don't we go ahead and do those? All right, so the way I would suggest we do that is our 3D cursor is still right in the middle. We're going to build these as a separate object from this one. To create this bolt, I'm going to use a technique that I like to do that might seem a little bit weird, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in a cube. So I'm going to go Shift A, Mesh Cube, and that's going to bring it in right at the 3D cursor, and I'm going to go into edit mode, and I'm going to start scaling, and then I'm going to bring it up, and I'm in wireframe so I can see through, and I'm going to get it roughly the size of that bolt. Now, this is a square, and let's make sure that it's out towards the surface right here. We can scale this in the Y so it's a little, thinner, a little bit more like a bolt. That still is probably too thick, so we can work on that. And I do want to push it in as well. So let's go out of wireframe, and you can see that I have got just a square, and you will notice that it is angled and my square is straight up and down, so we'll deal with that in a bit. All right, so the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to go into object mode, and I'm going to add modifier subdivision surface of 3, I think. Yeah, I'll do 3. All right, and that takes our square bolt and makes a circle. Now let's select the bolt and set origin to geometry. That'll move the transform tool or gizmo from where it was right to our new object, which is the bolt. And we can hit the period key to zoom in. I want to look from the side, number 3, and I want to cut off the back of this. So I'm going to go into edit mode, and you'll see that it looks like it's surrounded by a box. We need to actually apply that subdivision surface. And now it's stamped in and it's done, and now I can look from the side, and I like to do this in vertex selection and in wireframe, and I'm just going to choose B to box select and drag a rectangle around just the back vertices, not the vertical line here or any of the front. So we're going to go X, delete vertices. All right, and they're gone. All right, so now I can move this back in, and again we'll have to angle this soon. All right, now, so there it is. We can't really tell that the back is gone, well maybe just a little bit, but hopefully that won't be visible. We're going to make the indentation, or some kind of indentation in this, so let's go into edit mode, and I like to do this in vertex selection now. Here's the very middle of this, and I want to make a groove that a screwdriver could go in, so I want to select these, some of these polygons, and I'm going to hit C for paint select, and I'm going to drag my mouse all the way to, say, maybe those ones, so not the very edge, and those. Oh, I got a few extra. Hold Shift and paint over them to erase them. Hit the escape key to drop that tool, and you still have the selection. Now, before I do anything else, I'm going to inset a little bit. I'm going to hit I to inset and pull my mouse or push my mouse to change the size of that, so that I get a region that is bounded by these smaller polygons. So I've got my region now, and I'm going to extrude in. E to extrude, push in a little bit, like about that. An indentation for a screwdriver, more if you prefer. Doesn't matter if it comes through on the back side. And then I'm going to do one more thing. These are it's slightly curved, and you might like that. I'm going to flatten it out in the Y. So I'm going to go SY0. And that will flatten it out a little bit, and hopefully not change anything too much. Maybe I'll even hit S and scale in a little bit. That wasn't particularly necessary, but this is what I have. All right, I'm going to add one more subdivision surface and smoothing, and from a distance, that's what the bolt is going to look like, okay? And we're not going to get super close to this, so that's going to be my bolt. All right, so let's look from the side 3, and let's just rotate this so it fits. The x-axis is coming out at us, so we're going to rotate around the x. So I'm going to go RX, and I'm just going to move my mouse, and if it moves too fast, hold Shift until you like the position of that bolt, like that. Okay, so let's go Control 1, and let's have a look at this thing here in wireframe. And I got one there, so I'm going to take this bolt, Shift D, and I'm going to just hit G, and I'm going to drag it over to this position. And let's go out of wireframe and solid, and let's have a look and see if it looks like it's in properly. All right, well, that was the problem with making this curved. All right, we're going to have to adjust each of these slightly. RX, and push it in a little bit, and that's probably going to be okay. Now, we may not want all of these little grooves in the same orientation, so the Y is coming out, so I could go RY and just turn it a little bit, and hopefully it hasn't changed its orientation. It's just like that, and I can take this, and I can look in wireframe, and I can just copy it, Shift D, and I can push it across over to this side. Now, we can always hope that it's going to be on the right angle. All right, that looks decent enough. Let's go RY again and just do something like that. Okay, hopefully those, maybe they look a little bit too balanced. Okay, anyways, small details. Yeah, so let's go on. Control 1, let's go look in wireframe, Shift D to copy or duplicate and bring this one down. And let's take both of these, hold Shift, Shift D, bring these ones down, and then we'll just have to look and see if we like the positioning of these. I can hit the period key to zoom in. And yeah, we could do some work on this one. Let's rotate in the X and sort of flatten it out there. And we can also RY and just arbitrarily turn it. This one, how's this one looking? No, we got to do a bit of work on this one as well. RX and RY to rotate it just a little bit. And we'll look from the side. Where's that one? Is it this one? Yeah, RX a little bit. RY. How's that looking? Okay, do they look all right? I mean, they all don't all have to be in the same amount, and they can be bent a little bit. Just makes it look a little bit more realistic. Okay, that's all we need to do right there for now. Let's start having a look at the front. I don't really know that I want to add any edge loops up here. I like the way it is. So we're going to move on. Let's look from the front view. Let's do these dials and stuff before we get into this stuff here. Okay, so we're going to work on this one here. My 3D cursor is right there, and so let's go Shift A, Mesh, Circle. Let's rotate this for the orientation of this. So we're going to rotate it this way. I want to swing this end up. That's around the Y. All right, so let's go RY90 and then bring it to somewhere in this vicinity, and we'll go into edit mode, and I like to do this in vertex, S to scale, and just scale it down. Now I think we should actually push this in here and do the diameter of this part here first. All right, just because I want to build this. So push it into the watch a bit. It seems like it's gone, but it's there still. And from the front, hit E to extrude and pull out right to about there. Okay, and zoom in as much as you need. Let's go E to extrude, let's pull out to about there, and then S to scale and bring it out like that. You can bring it forward a bit. Now we're not in wireframe, so let's go into wireframe. I don't know how much difference it'll make. Okay, so we're about at the diameter of this. Let's hit E to extrude, come out to there, and then we're going to come down and we're going to make this part here. So let's hit E to extrude and S, and you can see the vertices moving to about the right size you need. E to extrude, pull out to there. And I know the diagram is a bit fuzzy, so just use your imagination. Let's do that one more time. E to extrude, S, come down to about there. E, come out, and that's it. All right. Now, let's go into solid view. I get this discoloration here. It's not nice and light, sort of gray as it is on the inside. compared to the outside. So select it all and go Control N. Notice the color change. Save, by the way. Okay, let's close this up. So I just switched over to edge selection real quick, and let's select this outer edge like that, and let's close it like we did some closing before. E and S, just a little bit. E and S, a little bit more. E and Alt M, merge at center. There we go. Let's have a look at this in object mode. There it is. Now the one thing we may have to do is we may have to lengthen the stock. I'm going to do that actually a little bit, and we don't have to close it up. Shift and Alt and just pull straight back just to give us a bit more room. We push that in again, make sure it's making contact, look from the front, and you know, we can always just push it in a little bit more. Okay, let's give this a subdivision surface. Add modifier, subdivision of 2. We usually use 2, smooth. And okay, it's kind of looking nice, like a doorknob almost, but not quite what we want. Again, we're going to add some edge loops, but the diagram doesn't tell us where. We're just going to do it where we think we need to. Let's look in edit mode. And, you know, we had an edge right here, but it's rounded it. So let's put an edge loop right here. Control R. Bring an edge loop down to here. Close. And let's do that up front. Those two. Now I want to do something here, so I'm not going to do any more right there. Notice that it's already sharpened it, but we need to do some more work. Let's bring an edge loop from here down. See the white stuff being crushed out, and from here up. And let's have a look at that. Much nicer. We could do more here though. Let's bring an edge loop up here, so that we end up with, like I said before, an edge loop in front of the edge and behind the edge, or above and below. And so we could do the same thing here. We don't always have to. I'm going to put an edge loop right here and push it back. And let's see if we get an effect that we like for this. Is that sharp enough for you? Do we need it sharper? If we do, if I brought an edge loop in here with respect to this edge, I can bring one here with respect to the same edge. And now have a look. It's like that. This stuff could be cleaned up as well. An edge loop right here. Maybe an edge loop right here. And another one here, pushing back. And another one here, coming down. Is that enough? Is that too sharp? Want to leave that nice and smooth? Why not? So there's our knob so far. But you'll notice in the diagram, if I hide this, it's got these designs on it here, like grips, sort of. And so we'll make those. By the way, hiding was H, Alt H, we'll bring it back. I'll show you how to make those. We're going to come into our object, and we're going to be working in this area, but let's switch to face selection. Shift Alt and click on one of the lines, and you will get the entire row of polys. We're going to hit I twice, the inset tool twice. I, and now you can move your mouse in and out, and you can change the size of these boxes. We want them relatively large, but with a bit of a space in between them. That's probably fine. And then we're going to come over here under Mesh Tools, and we're going to click on this button, Extrude Individual, and pull our mouse down just a little. So get a vantage point so you can see this, how they would come out. Click this button, Extrude Individual, click, and pull your mouse down. See the way they're coming out? Now we don't want to come out like that unless you're making a sunflower. We just want to come out just a little bit, like maybe that much. Click. Before you deselect, go Control B and pull your mouse like that a little bit. Roll your mouse wheel up, 1. Click, deselect. Now let's have a look at that. Because there's a subdivision surface on it, makes these circular. We're going to fix that now. Come in close, click, or Control R, click, and drag to near the end. Not right at the end, near the end. Do the same thing for near the top. About there. Deselect and come back out. And now they're like that. All right, so we have our little cog or wheel that we could turn. Cool. All right, so far so good. Let's make these. These are going to be simpler, but they're on an angle, so we're going to have to make an adjustment in a moment. So let's go Shift A, Mesh Circle. We'll keep all the defaults. Let's rotate our Y 90, and we can just bring it out. We can hit G and just bring it out. And let's go into edit mode, and we can do this in vertex or edge. Scale it down, whoops, select it, S to scale, but we can't tell exactly how thick to make it because it's on an angle, and it's not as easy to make it on an angle. So I'm gonna suggest for now, just to go from edge to edge like that, all right? I'm gonna pull this back, and I'm gonna hit E to extrude, and I'm gonna pull it out as much as I want, really. We can adjust all this. Just imagine you're making this thing. It's a cylinder that comes up and then it comes out. So let's make it go out. E, S, come out a good ways. E, bring it forward. And that's the approximate shape, right? I get this darkness here compared to the lightness inside. Got to flip my polys, select them all, Control N, and let's close this off. Shift Alt and click the edge, E and S, pull it in a little, E and S, pull it in a bunch more, E and Alt M, merge at center. Let's have a look at this now. All right, from the front, we're in pretty good shape. Let's rotate this to match the diagram. You can do this in wireframe if you prefer. In object mode, that's fine. We're gonna rotate around the Y, RY, and just start to get it to fit. And then you can either try, just pulling up and pulling over and stuff like that. That's fine to do it that way. That's good enough, all right? No one's going to, fault us for that as long as we make contact there. Although we will be putting a subdivision surface, and that may shrink it up, so we may have to lengthen this. So let's do that. Subdivision surface of 2, smooth. Now it looks like a flashlight, so we definitely need to sharpen up these edges. All right, are you starting to see where to put an edge loop in? This edge was nice and sharp. It's a little bit too smooth now. So let's bring an edge loop, Control R, drag it down there. Let's drag from the bottom here. All right, and that sort of will take care of that. Let's put one more up here. And that may be good enough for this simple object here, Well, I suppose we could sharpen this even a bit more. We put one here, we can click here or Control R, put one there. In fact, maybe one more down there. Okay, look a little bit better. And that's that knob right there. So let's look from the front. All right, we have another one here. We can just copy or we can mirror this, and that's a good thing to do. As long as your 3D cursor is right in the center of this symmetrical object, I can mirror this across. So select with the 3D cursor right here on that, select your object, minimize that for now, come to Add Modifier, Mirror, and then the mirror object, use the eyedropper and choose that as the mirror object. Oh wait, it went in the X right there. Get rid of that and try these other ones, Y, and it goes to the right position, and it's done. If you don't have to do any more work on these at all, you could apply that. I'll go ahead and apply it. And any message there wasn't the first one in the stack because I also had a subdivision surface that I'm not applying right now. Cool. All right. Well, this is what we have. All right. Takes a little bit of work, and I kind of would like to see a bit of the stem of this, so I want to pull it out, even though it's not in the diagram like that. I just feel like it looks better to me. All right. Well, I've been putting off these connections to where the strap would be because they're a little bit odd. I have to be honest with you, I am not going to curve them downwards. I don't think we need to do that in this video. It'll just be causing more grief if some of this wasn't causing grief enough as it is. Let's go Control 1 though, just to make sure. Look, everything looks okay. Yeah, I got something mixed up about my putting on my dials. Maybe I should have had this not as back. I don't know. Front and back. Okay. Well, I'm not going to worry about it. The watch works okay. If you turn the watch like this, those are on that side, so we're okay. Let's work on these things though. How to do these? Well, if you look carefully at them, they sort of look like they come out of this body. You could make them separate objects, but I'm thinking of doing them as together, which can create some problems. But in order to make them sort of integrate smoothly, what I'm going to suggest, though, is because we're going to be doing some detrimental or destructive work to this body, is to copy it. So I'm going to go Shift D and M to bring up the move to layer, and click way over here. You'll see a dot here. Click on there. There, I made a copy of the body and it's there. I'm going to go back to the first layer and I'm going to work on this. If I run into trouble, I've got that as a backup. Okay, one. Now, how to do this? Well, I'm going to be, let's show you this way. In edit mode, I am going to be selecting some of these polygons here and extruding them out and doing something with them. Now, some people would want to have this edge here, which isn't affecting anything other than sharpness, moved a little bit so that the polygon here has kind of equal spacing on this side and this side. I don't think it's terribly important, but I did just move that edge, and we might want to just consider all of this, moving even both of them. That will sharpen this edge up a little bit, and as you can see right there, not appreciably, but it will give us sort of an even division, but that's not critical anyhow. Now, let's go back to 1, and as you can see, we're going to be selecting in this area. So in face selection, we're going to want a poly from here, here, and here. Looks like 3, maybe 4. So 1, hold Shift, 2, maybe 3 of these are going to be used. Let's hit 1, and you can see them light up. They're going to be used to make this structure. Now, I'm going to start building it, but then we're going to mirror this so that we don't have to make 4 of them. So I'm going to start by doing this, E to extrude, and I'm going to pull up like this. And it looks like a complete mess. Go into wireframe, all right, and sort of look at this and say, hey, well, it kind of looks curved, although the curve's way down here. And we're going to be messing around. Switch it to vertex mode. This is not something for the weak-minded person. All right, let's start moving some points around. We're going to be box selecting, not just selecting like that, because you only get one of the vertex that is in line with it. So we're going to be using B and box selecting, and we're going to see how this goes. I'm going to draw a box around there, and I'm going to pull these over to here and down a little bit. I'm going to box select these, and I'm going to pull, and I'm going to drag it down. Okay. I'm going to box select these and pull them in, and these, and I'm going to pull them in. And it's going to start looking a little ugly. On the other hand, we're going to start to see this, like it's coming out. All right, so let's keep going. Okay, now, I don't have any points I can grab here to pull it in to make this, so I'm going to add an edge loop. And I'm going to just click, Control R, and I'm going to click right about here. I'm going to pull it down a little bit, and then I'm going to grab those points and I'm going to bring them in. And like a spider web, you can see it's coming down here. Okay, we need to do some more. Grab these and pull them in a little bit, pull them up. Grab these, pull them up, get them out of the way because we're going to add another edge loop right down here. Whoops, what happened here? Control R, right there. And we're going to grab these, and you can just go G, and I'm going to pull them. And this doesn't have to match exactly the diagram. All right, we can do our own thing to some extent. All right, this is what it looks like so far. Not too bad. I might grab these and just move them down just to release some of the tension there. All right, let's see if there's anything we can do up here. Well, there will be stuff that we can do up here because we are going to add an edge loop here and bring it straight up, maybe to there, and grab these and pull them down and and flatten this out to some extent. And then maybe grab these. Let's see how that's looking. Okay, now there's more that we could do. Okay, well, it's looking a little pinched there. Let's try and see if we can do anything. Okay, let's go ahead and add a couple of edge loops like this. Control R here, pull over to this side. Control R here, pull over to that side. It's not going to affect the curvature because it's going with the curve. And look at the effect we are starting to get. We need to be careful about pinching, and we're going to see how far we can take this. Let's put an edge loop here and slide it up and see if that has helped or hindered. That's made it sharper here. That might be the best that we can do without like taking a long time on this. There's a chance I can come down in here. Let's see. No, I don't like that. I want it smoother like that. And I am pretty happy with that. You know, looking at the diagram just like this, it's pretty close for our purposes, all right? So I think we could go with that. I mean, we could put a watch band in there. We could try in wireframe. We could try to make it a little bit straighter. I mean, we can select all of those points, by the way, and we can scale X0, and let's just see if that has helped us or hindered us. Well, you know, I think that's just fine. All right. I'm not going to worry. I think that's a nice curve there. All right, well, let's mirror that over then. That looks beautiful to me. Okay, so let's go into this body here and in wireframe. And what we're going to do is we are going to select, I'll just show you, B, all of these vertices on the right side, okay, of the center line. X, delete vertices. At least of the main body. Don't worry about any of these. We're also going to do that on the bottom. All of them below this horizontal line here. X vertices. Good. All right, let's go into object mode and mirror. Notice I've got one already over here in the X. Let's try the Y. Let's click on clipping. And the only problem is, let's go into solid view, you get this weird X, this hole here. Well, using this arrow, move it above the subdivision surface so that this happens like that. And we now have those all around. I do notice that my peg is very close to that. I will hope that's not a problem. I don't think it is. How about that? Okay, does that look okay? This is the image of the watch face I was thinking of doing, all right? Or just something similar, just using it as a guide. So I can show you how you could do this and then do your own if you wanted. So I'm going to bring this image, which I'll provide to you as well, into Blender, and we'll position it according to this info here. We're going to have to change basically the scale. So I want this as a front view as well. And so I'm going to hit N, and here I have front already. I'm going to click the eye to close that front view, add image, choose front again, and open now that watch face image. Where is it? There it is. Okay, now let's hit wireframe, whatever. So there it is, but it is a bit small, as I had said. And so let's try these values here, just 16.4 down there. 16.4. And that brings it to that. And I figured that was the right size for it to be, or pretty darn close. So we could work with that. And what I want to do first is to build these little tick marks here. And you can see in this diagram it's not perfect either, but these would be the seconds. How many seconds to go all the way around? Let's say the minute. In a minute, we're going to need 60 of them. So I'm going to start with my 3D cursor right in the middle here. I'm going to start by building like a little cube. All right. In fact, I might even start with a plane. I find them just easier to use. So I don't have to be in wireframe right now. I could be right there. My 3D cursor is right in the middle of the watch face. I'm going to go Shift A, Mesh, Plane, Rotate X 90. Now can't see it, so let's bring it out in front. Front view. Scale it down really small. Now I know you can't see the image right now, but we're going to deal with that in a second. So back into wireframe. Okay, so how big do we want this? Let's scale this in the X. And I just want these little tick marks here. Yeah, I'll do that first. So choose a size that you like, but keep in mind this is just, hit the period key to zoom in on that. There, let's get rid of that too. It's flat. It's got no thickness, so let's give it some thickness. E to extrude, pull down a little bit. In case I went the wrong way, select it all and go Control N to flip polys, and it looks like I did. Now, that would be my second marker, but my cursor is way down here, so let's go Set Origin to Geometry, and it'll pop back there. Let's push it until it touches the surface of the watch. Good enough. Now, I hope those aren't going to be too big. I don't think they will be. Let's do something else to this. Let's give it a little bevel. So let's add modifier, bevel. Let's choose 2, and let's scale this back to... maybe it jumped. Oh, you know what? That's probably fine there. Try smoothing, and we'll see if we like this or not. Okay, let's look from the front again in wireframe and just look at the size of it. And yeah, we're going to go with that. Now, it is very important that this object is right in the middle. In other words, it's above the 3D cursor, but it's in the middle. All right, we just moved it like this. Find the position that you want. It's gonna be not too easy to change that later. So let's say I want them there, and we can move them, but we'll try that. Let's go out of wireframe. So there it is, right? And it's sticking in a little bit. My 3D cursor is right here. Looking straight on from front view, set origin to the 3D cursor. Okay, make sure the origin of 3D cursor. This is still selected. Go into edit mode and hit A to select all. All right, let's spin this. Come over here under mesh tools, spin, and choose for the angle 360. Now, you can just sort of start dragging here, or you can type in 60. I want 60 of these for the second marks. Now, we're probably going to get rid of some of these. Now, we're not done yet. Zoom in, you'll see they look discolored. Also, select them all, deselect, and A to select them all, W, remove doubles, and notice it will have removed some. Control N, watch the colors. All right, some of my polys were flipped. We're done. Come out. There. We have 3D second marks on there. Whether or not we like that shape, I don't know, but we spun them around. Let's look again, and in wireframe. Okay, so we got those. The diagram may be off a little bit, but our model is perfect. Now, it looks to me like they have bigger ones like at 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. All right. In other words, right here at say 11 o'clock, I have a small like second-hand tick, but they have a bigger one, and that's going to look cooler. I'm going to go back in and I'm going to delete this one and this one and this one and this one. But first, I'm going to modify this one, and we're going to spin again. You'll see what I mean. Let's go back in. I happen to be in wireframe, so go to solid. Okay, this is the one right here. This is 12 o'clock. Okay, let's double check. Okay, it's 12 o'clock and I'm looking straight on. Okay. Okay. Well, one thing we could do is we could select it all. No, that won't work. Select a little piece of it and go Control L. And let's just hit S and scale globally like this, and maybe move it down a little bit. And that's what I'm going to do. Okay, maybe I'll grab these bottom ones and pull them out a little bit more. Now, when I box selected, I got the bottom ones too. All right, one. Okay, deselect. Now, I changed this one, but this one is still here. All right, as a second one, but I want it gone. So select one vertex, Control L to select what's linked, X, delete vertices. Do that for all of these spaces. Select a piece, Control L, X, delete vertices. Yeah, I did it there for 9 o'clock. Control L, X, vertices. Where am I? This one, Control L, X, vertices. This, right, 6, 7, 8, 9, yeah. X, vertices, the 6 o'clock position. 5 o'clock position, Control L, X, vertices, the 4 o'clock position, the 3 o'clock position, 2, and 1. Okay, let's just have a look at what we've done here, right there. Okay, see the way I've got this one here, and I have a space here and a space here, space, that kind of thing. Now, first of all, we need to break this out of this object. Control L, just go P, separate by selection. Back into object mode. There it is. Okay, so now I can move it if I wanted to, whatever. I want to spin this to there, 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 and I want to also leave it in its original position. So, we should be ready to go if that's the shape that we like. Our 3D cursor is right in the middle, so I'm going to go into edit mode and select it. And then we're going to go ahead and I'm going to spin, but I don't want 60 of these. How many of these do I want? Is it 12 of them? Why wouldn't it be 12? 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 o'clock, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Right, of course. Now, A to deselect, A to select them all, W, remove doubles. Just like before, it removes some. Control N to flip polys. Done. Now we're starting to get some texture in there. Okay, we have our hours, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. Is it a boring shape? Maybe, but we're just learning the basics here. Okay? All right, how are we doing so far? Let's look from the front and in wireframe. What else we got to do? Okay, so we've done these ones, we've done the little ticks, we could do some numbers in there, and then we could do some hands, so why don't we do that? I'm not going to do that, so let's just put in 12 and 3, 6, and 9. Cool, so we'll do some text. Okay, 3D cursor is right in the middle, go Shift-A, text, and let's make sure we bring it forward. Okay, it's on its side, let's RX90, look from the front. And we can also do set origin of geometry. I'll put it right in the middle. And we can see, okay, we're going to want 12 up there. We can make it a little smaller. Let's go into edit mode and like that, 12. And we can also, on the F here, scroll down and choose horizontal alignment center and set origin of geometry again. And it'll be right in the middle of the 12. That's more of what we want. Let's look in wireframe and see where they position the 12. Boy, they make it big and tall. And the best I can do is something like that. Let's go back out of wireframe and bring it in towards the face. We'll give it some thickness. And the way we'll do that is over here under, I'll stretch this out, extrude. So it'll go like that. and we can bevel it a bit and add a little bit of resolution, and then you can work on getting a different font. All right, so up here, where is it? Right here. I'll choose from my regular font. I'll click that and I'll see if I have fonts open. Otherwise, you're going to go to C, Windows, if you're on a Windows system, fonts, do this, and then just find a font that you think would look cool. So I'll try this. And yep, that looks real cool. Okay, well, that's what I'm gonna use, I guess. Well, no, maybe not. Some fonts look better than others. Some fonts kind of break apart too. So I'm just gonna scroll way down, and that's pretty basic. This one. Yep, that's what I'm gonna use. Okay, and yeah, that's good. Okay, maybe I don't need it to extrude that much. Just like that, make sure it sort of makes contact and it's in the position that you would want it. Yeah, it's kind of small now, isn't it? Okay, I can try to make it bigger. I suppose I could try scaling the Z too. And then scale overall. That's good enough. Okay, let's Shift-D, copy it and bring it down. And go into edit mode and make it a 6. And let's just see how central it is. Yeah, if I start messing around with it, yeah, I think I'll probably leave it. All right, so I could take that Shift-D and I'll bring it up to about here, and I'll bring it over, and I'll go into edit mode. I'll make that a 9, and Shift-D, and I'll bring it over into the 3 position, and I'll make it a 3. So you know, it's not looking exactly like the diagram, but we'll have that. Hey, that's okay. All right, what else we got? Want to do these little things? We'd need 12 of them. Actually, we wouldn't need 12 of them. We'd need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We'd have to delete the other ones. We could do that. How would we do that? We would make a bit of a triangle type structure. Wouldn't look exactly the same, but it would look something. So let's have a go with this. Let's try a plane. Rotate X 90. Bring it out, go into edit mode, look straight on it, and in wireframe, we'll scale it down, and we'll build it in the vertical position. We're not going to build it over there. Scale this in the X a little bit. Yeah, I don't know how round it's going to look. Let's select those and scale these in the X. To do that, let's scale the X a little bit wider. I don't know that it's all that worth it. We're not going to put a hole in them. We could try to put maybe 3 edge loops here, and grab this one and pull it out, and then grab these 2 and pull them out, but just not quite as much. And you know, try to simulate a bit of a curve if we wanted, like that. Okay, why not? Let's select it and give it some depth. Let's try coming out instead of down. Or up. Well, we better select it all in Control N just in case. We actually came out the right way. Now, let's try beveling this with 2, and we'll just bring it down and smoothing it. I really don't think we need a subdivision surface, although we've got that stuff going on. But it's going to be so small, I don't think it'll be overly noticeable. Unless this bothers you, we could try. You could try a subdivision surface, and you'd have to make some adjustments. Turn off the bevel. You know, it could potentially look nicer. Like that better? one more there and there. Yeah, it does look nicer anyhow. Okay, so delete the bevel and just leave that like that. Okay, cool. So let's make this set origin to geometry, and let's make it make contact. I know it's not going to be in that final position. We'll just get a position that we like. So it looks like it's up, so closer to that. So we'll do it there, and we'll spin that, and we'll see. 3D cursor is still there. Set the origin of the 3D cursor and go into edit mode, select it all, and cross your fingers. Let's hit spin. Okay, see the way they're there? Select them all, W, remove doubles, Control N. Now, before we deselect, we're going to want to get rid of some of these. The one there, just select that point, shift and select that point, shift and select that point, and shift and select that point. Control L for all of them, X, delete vertices, and those ones are gone, and we have these ones. Okay, hopefully that looks good enough to you. We can still take the whole row, by the way, and move it in and out and stuff like that. You can even scale them, but it gets a little bit harder. Okay, I think the last thing that we're going to do in this video is make the watch hands. And hopefully I'm not going too fast. I'm starting to speed up a little bit, but what to do? How well can we see these? They look really strange. This one looks like it's kind of circular round a little bit and it comes to a decent point, and this one doesn't, and then you have the second hand. I think this one and this one should be pretty similar. Maybe the hour one is a bit thicker than this one. I don't know. I guess it depends. This is just an artist's drawing, so let's build something. All right. So let's go Shift A, Mesh. Let's do it out of a plane. Rotate X 90. Let's bring the plane out in front of the watch and look from the front again and go into edit mode. And I'm in wireframe, and we'll just start. Let's scale this in the X. All right, let's build it vertically. All right, and then we'll figure out what we're going to do. Let's box select these bottom points and pull them up to around there. So just imagine there was a little pivot there and it protruded a little bit past there. Okay, so what to do? I think we could select those and scale in the X, just pull them in pretty close like that. And maybe we'd put an edge loop here, just anywhere, and scale in the X so it kind of goes like that. So it still angles down and then it angles more. And that might be all we're going to do for this particular thing. Let's select it and E and give it a little bit of thickness, not too much, just like that. And maybe we can get away with just beveling this, even just like that, and try smoothing it, see how it works. Bringing it closer. All right, well, what we may have to do is bring an edge loop in here and here. Whoops. And down near the bottom to try and compensate for some of that smoothing, and then I guess we got a problem there, so I'm going to undo that. Yeah. Well, what about just putting edge loops along the side? And that's going to change the bevel, but maybe it's going to be all right. Maybe we don't need too much of a bevel. Okay, so I have that. And then what I could do is just Shift D and copy it. And I'm not going to move anything yet. Go into wireframe. And what I'll do is I'm going to switch the pivot to the 3D cursor right there. And then I'm going to rotate Y. And I get this. But I think I'm also going to scale just in general. Is that what I want to do? Scale like that. I made it a bit shorter. Does it have to be fatter? Maybe this one needs to be on top, I don't know, of that one. That's probably okay. And what we'll do is we'll bring both of them closer to the body. I just want to make sure it can clear the 12. Oh yeah, it's too far up. And I'm going to switch back to median point, and I'm going to bring in a cylinder. No, I'm not. I'm going to bring in a circle. Rotate X 90 right out, and I'll scale it. Bring it back. Now you can't really see. And then I'm just going to extrude it up, E, just right through like that, and then I'll close it off. E and S. Maybe I can just do it in 2. E and Alt M, merge at center. Let's select everything in Control N, flip those polys, and this is what I have. To make it a little smoother, let's select this upper edge and Control B and pull back to get a region like this, and roll your mouse wheel up 2 or 3 times to bevel it, and then hit smoothing. Okay? Then we'll get that kind of look there. Now let's move these hands a bit and then think about second hand and wrap things up. Let's move it down. Oh, 10 to 2 is like Timex. Okay, so we're going to rotate this one. Let's switch to the 3D cursor, rotate Y, and just pull it into approximate position. All right, well, maybe we need to make it longer, and I think that would look better as well. So let's go into edit mode. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to switch to vertex. We're going to select those upper vertices. Let's go back to median point, but let's switch to normal and then pull like that. Leave it like that. Cool. How's that look? Nice. In fact, I think this one should be shorter now that I look at it. So let's do that. Let's do that. Let's go to edit mode, select those. Let's pull them down. What if I grab these ones as well? Scale it in the Y. Really what we want to do is we want to go scale YY, I believe, and that will do it better for us. And it'll look like that. I got a little bit of a... I don't care. I don't think I do anyhow. Yeah, it's all right. It's all part of it. Now, do we need a second hand? Do we care about seconds? Oh, why not? Do something. Can I use this still? Shift D. Let's go back into global. I'm not sure. Rotate Y. To there, let's say. Can I scale this properly? So, if you go into normal and you can see like that, then you go S, Y, Y. You hit it twice. You do that, and then box select here, and then just pull. Now this is going to be at the exact same level, so let's have this on top, right? Second hand's on top, I think. And then let's take this, and all right, we'll put it back in, and we'll just... No, you know what's easier to do it this way. Let's pull it up. And find the bottom of it. Okay, let's do it this way. Find the bottom of it. I could hide stuff, but I couldn't be bothered. Shift Alt and click the bottom and pull it in. There. Now, I think all of these could be tighter or could be closer together. It's just minor things at this point, you know, whatever. Front view. Well, I think we've done what we came here to do. We've created a watch face. The only thing we don't have is a little dome on top of it and the watch band, but that was our modeling practice. for now. All right, all these things are still adjustable. And then what you could do is you could hit N, and you could come over to, say, where am I? Shading. Choose matte cap and choose some cool kind of material there, and you could, and it would look pretty nice. You could also take a render, click the camera, and you could save that. It won't look quite as smooth as if you brought in a camera and lights and stuff like that and gave materials, but I think this video is mostly for modeling that stuff, and we could look at materials and stuff another time. Okay, so I hope that helped. Thanks for watching.